Karina baby. Today is from A Year Full of Stories. Today is May the 8th, and this is All Year Bears. January bears sleep in lairs. February bears sit on chairs. March bears run like hares. April bears walk in pairs. May bears stand and stare. June bears fly in the air. July bears wash their hands. August bears haven't a care. September bears pick a ripe pear. October bears climb the stairs. November bears love city squares. December bears live anywhere. So there they are. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Remember how to do it on your hands? Everyone on the top is 30. And everyone on the bottom is 30. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So January has 31 days. February is the only one that's different. It's either 28 or 29 days in February. March has 31 days. April has 30 days. May, we're in May right now. Today is May 8th. 31 days in May. June has 30 days. July has 31 days. August has 31 days. September has 30 days. October has 31 days. November has 30 days. And December has 31 days. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Alright, let's move on to another storybook. We're going to do the great big treasury of the Beatrix pottery. Last one we did in here was the Two Bad Mice. This one is Miss Tiggy-Winkle. Once upon a time there was a little girl called Lucille who lived on a farm called Littletown. She was a good little girl, only she was always losing her pocket handkerchiefs. One day little Lucille came into the farmyard crying. Oh, she did cry so. I lost my pocket handkin. I lost my pocket handkin. 3 handkins and a penny. Have you seen them, Tabby Kitten? The kitten went on washing her white paws, so Lucille asked a speckled hen, Say, Henny Penny, have you found 3 pocket handkins? But the speckled hen ran into the barn chuckling. I go barefoot, barefoot, barefoot. And then Lucille asked Cock Robin, sitting on a twig. Cock Robin looked sideways, and Lucille with his bright black eye, and he flew over a stittle and away. Lucille climbed up to the stittle and looked up at the hill behind Littletown. At a hill behind Littletown. A hill that goes up, up into the clouds, as though it had no top. And a great way up the hillside she thought she saw some white things spread upon the grass. What do you think the white things are? So she's asking the tabby kitty. She's asking the hen. Or is that a rooster? No, it's a hen. A rooster's in the background. Look at her looking up at the hill. She's still looking up at the hill. Lucy scrambled up the hill as fast as her legs would carry her. She ran along a steep pathway up, and Littletown was right away down below. She could have dropped a petal down the chimney, practically. She came to a spring bubbling out from the hillside. Someone has stood a tin can up and a stone to catch the water, but the water was already running over, for the can was no bigger than an egg cup, and where the sand upon the path was wet, there was a footmark and a very small person. Lucille ran on and on. The path ended up with a big rock. The grass was short and green, and there was clothes props cut from the bacon streams with lines of planted rush and a heap of tiny clothespins and no pocket handkerchiefs. But there was something else, a door, straight into the hill, and inside is someone who was singing, lily white and clean, oh, what little frills between, oh, smooth and hot, red, rusty spots, never here to be seen, oh. Who do you think was singing? Let's take a look at the photos. So here she is climbing up the hill. There's a door. What do you think she's gonna find? Who do you think is singing in there? Lucille knocked once, twice, and interrupted the song. A little frightened voice called out, "Who's there?" Lucille opened the door, and what do you think there was inside the hill? A nice clean kitchen with a flagged floor and wooden beams, just like any other farm kitchen, only the ceiling was low, and Lucille has nearly touched it, and the pots and pans were small, and so was everything else. There was a nice hot, stinging smell, and at the table with an iron in her hand stood a very stout, short person, staring anxiously at Lucille. Her print gown was tucked under, and she was wearing a little apron over. Her striped petticoat, her little black nose went sniff, 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 and her eyes went twinkle, twinkle, and underneath her cap where Lucille had yellow curls, and little person had prickles. "Who are you?" said Lucille. "Have you seen my pocket handkerchiefs?" What do you think she found? That sound like a porcupine to you? The little person made a bob curtsy. "Oh, yes, if you please, my name is Miss Tiggy-Wiggy. Oh, yes, and you please, I am excited. Clear structure." And she took something out of her clothes basket and spread it on the ironing blanket. "What's that thing?" said Lucille. "That's not my pocket handkerchief." "Oh, no, if you please. This is a little secret washcoat belonging to Cock Robin." And she ironed and folded it and put it to the side. Then she took something else off a clothes horse. "This isn't my penny, said Lucille. "Oh, no, if you please. That's a damask tablecloth belonging to Jenny Wynn. Look how it's stained with currant wine." "It's very bad to wash," said Miss Tiggy-Wiggy. Miss Tiggy-Wiggy's nose went sniff, 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 and her eyes went twinkle, twinkle, as she fetched another hot iron from the fire. Here she is. She's wearing a nice dress and her iron over it. Her mama used to dress like that all the time. When I had my aprons. I still have my aprons. I don't like to cook or clean really without an apron on. There's one of my pocket handkerchiefs, cried Lucille, and there's my penny. Miss Tiggy-Winkle ironed it and gouged it and stood it out with frills. Oh, that is lovely, said Lucille. And what are those yellow things with fingers like gloves? Oh, that's a pair of stockings belonging to Sally Hennypenny. Look how she's worn the heels out with stretching in the yard. She'll very soon go barefoot, said Miss Tiggy-Wiggy. Why, there's another hankersniff, but it isn't mine, it's red. Oh, no, if you please, that one belongs to old Mrs. Rabbit, and it did so smell of onions. I have to wash it separately. I can't get out the smell. That's another one of mine, said Lucille. What are these funny little white things? That's a pair of mittens belonging to Tabby Kitten. I only have to iron them. She washes them herself. That's my little pocket handkin, said Lucille. And what are you dripping into the basin of starch? That's little Dickie's short fronts belonging to Tom Titmouse, my terrible particular, said Mrs. Tiggy-Wiggy. Now I've finished my ironing, I'm going to air some clothes. What are those dear, soft, fluffy things? Said Lucille. Oh, those are woolly coats belonging to little lambs at Sky League. Well, their jackets take off, asked Lucille. Oh, yes, if you please. Look at the sheep mark on the shoulder, and here's one marked for Gates Garther, and 3 that come from Littletown. They're always marked at washing, said Mrs. Tiggy-Wiggy. So what is she doing? Is she taking stuff from people and then washing them and giving it back? That's what it sounds like she's doing. So it sounds like she's gathering up some stuff and she's doing all this work. She's washing them, she's ironing them, she's folding them. She knows who every last thing belongs to. So it sounds like she's going to be giving all this stuff back. And she hung up the shorts and the sides of the clothes, small brown coats of mice, and one velvety black muslin waistcoat, and a red tall coat with no tail belonging to Squirrel Nutkin, and a very much shrunk blue jacket belonging to Peter Rabbit, and a petticoat not marked, and that had gone lost in the washing. And at last the basket was empty. Then Miss Tiggy-Wiggy made tea, a cup for herself and a cup for Lucille, or Lucy. They sat before the fire on a bench and looked sideways at one another. Miss Tiggy-Wiggy's hand holding the teacup was very, very brown and very, very wrinkly, with the soap suds and all through her gown. And her cap, there were hairpins sticking wrong and out, and that Lucille didn't like to sit near her. When they had finished tea, they tied up the clothes in bundles, and Lucille's pocket handkerchiefs were folded up inside her clean penny and fastened with a silver safety pin. And then they made up the fire with turf and came out and locked the door and hid the key under the door sill. Then away down the hill trotted Lucille, Miss Tiggy-Wiggy, with the bundles of clothes. All the way down the path, little animals came out of the fern to meet them. The very first that they met was Peter Rabbit and Benjamin Bunny. And they gave them their nice clean clothes. And all the little animals and birds were very much obliged to dear Mrs. Tiggy-Wiggy. So that at the bottom of the hill, when they came to the still, there was nothing left to carry except Lucille's one little bundle. Look at that. Everyone loved her because she did all this work for them. See, not all work you get paid for. You spend most of your life doing work on many, many things that you will never get paid for, but is worth it. Lucille scrambled up the still with the bundle in her hand, and then she turned to say good night and to thank the washerwoman. But what a very odd thing, Miss Twiggy Wiggy had not wanted either for thanks or the washing bill. She was running, running, running up the hill. And where was her white frilled cap and her shawl and her gown and her petticoat? And how small she had grown, and how brown and covered with prickles. Why, Miss Twiggy Wiggy was nothing but a hedgehog. Now some people say that little Lucille had been asleep upon the still, but then how could she have found 3 clean pocket handkins and a penny pinned with a silver safety pin? And besides, I have seen that door into the back of the hill called Cat Bell's, and besides, I am very well acquainted with dear Miss Twiggy Wiggy. See? That's a very good story, baby. All these stories are so very good. The next one we're going to be doing from this book is The Pie and the Panty Pan. That would be the next story. Baby, most of your life you're going to be working on a lot of things. You're going to be cooking and cleaning because you are a woman, and usually that's what women do. Now you could be a career woman if you want to too, and if you want to be a career woman you might be able to be like, I'm not cooking, and that's completely fine, or I'm not doing dishes, or like, you know, career women do have those options of just being like, I'm not doing this. Your father actually thought I didn't know how to cook for the longest time because I'd come in the door from many jobs, and because I had a lot of jobs throughout the day, so I had many days. I had a job, alright, that I'd start and end, and once those few hours were up, that mini day was over because I had a bunch of part-time jobs and one full-time job. And so I'd be in and out of the house throughout the day. Like, I'd stop by and I'd come home and I'd turn on some water in a pot, and then I'd fall asleep in the chair, and then I'd wake up and the pot would be empty of water, and I'd be like, oh no, I gotta go, and I'd have to leave and go to another job. I worked really hard outside the home for a number of years. It wasn't as hard as working inside the home, though, to be quite honest. It wasn't. Like, working inside the home is actually a lot harder when you have all the responsibilities, but working outside the home is, like, it's for, like, taxes. That's why people make women work outside the home now, is so that we could be taxpayers. But the most important work of a woman is the washing, the cooking, the cleaning, the dishes, like, raising up children. That is essential for a woman, for if you're a housewife and homemaker. And if you decide to be a career woman, your essentials are going to be whatever career you choose in the career path you want to go. I'm not saying you have to be a housewife and homemaker like I am choosing to be, but you know, you get to choose your path. And you know, Mama's been through a lot of things growing up, so working outside the home for me, just, you can ask Papa, it doesn't work out well for me. I cry a lot. But yeah, so when I was working outside the home, I used to tell your Papa, well, I'm not cooking because I'm working. Well, he turned that into I don't know how to cook, but now Mama's actually a really good cook. But so when I started working inside the home, because it's still work, it's, trust me, it's work, it's, I mean, it's work, it's a lot of work, but that's when I really started cooking, and your Papa was like, wow, you're a really good cook. And I'm like, yeah, your Uncle Ronnie actually knew I was a really good cook before your father did. But that's because he came over the one weekend because his car went into an impound, and he called me. He's like, where do you live? I'm like, I live right here, and his car was down the street in the impound. So he came over, and he slept on the floor for a couple of days, and I fed him turkey, and I fed him vegetables and all kinds of things, and mashed potatoes and stuff. And he's like, James says you don't know how to cook. I'm like, we're gonna keep this between us. And we went down to the Bronte Sisters museum, and we went through all these books, and one of them, the lady said the painting looked like the turn of the screw, and I'm like, that doesn't look like Miles or Flora, and she was surprised I knew all the books. And so then she started specifically asking me questions about these paintings when I was with your Uncle Ronnie at the museum. And she came up to us afterwards and asked me how I knew all the books and how I read all of them. And I'm like, oh, I listened to all of them because I was working overnight at a job and I couldn't stay awake. So I was listening to a bunch of books back then. But, yeah, it was hard work. Both. All of it. All of it. All of life. Every single day that you're alive is hard work. It says in the Bible, in Ecclesiastes, that, this life, nothing is new in life. I mean, people have gone through every situation possible, and it says the people that die, no one's going to remember them. It says that life is meaningless, right? And it says to find things that make meaning to your life. The seasons are changing, and the world is going on, and you just have to do what makes you happy. You don't hurt yourself, you don't hurt others, you try not to let other people hurt you. I know that's hard to try, but you try not to let other people hurt you, because this life is hard, and some people are just hurt, and when people are hurt and get hurt feelings, people do try to lash out and hurt other people, and that's when they need more love, even more love, because when someone's trying to hurt somebody else, like calling them bad names, just dragging them so far down, it's because they're hurting inside and their heart hurts because they feel an injustice, and you never want to feel that. You don't want to let your situation, every situation that you're ever going to be in is a character building situation. It's the way that you perceive life. It's the way that you live your life. It's the way that you do things. And you are starting out on the ground floor because you have a positive blood type. And that really does go with your attitude. And at least I really do believe that your blood type really does go with your attitude. You don't have a negative RH in your blood. You have a positive one. So I really think, I know for a fact that you're a lot like me, and I know for a fact that you're very forgiving, and you're very loving, and you're very sweet, and you're very kind, and you believe that certain things are more important than others, and I know that about you because Mama's like that too. The most important thing is the people in your life and saving them, but don't save somebody so much that you're hurting yourself. Mama did that. And go back and forth with it being the right or wrong choice, but you don't save someone so much that you hurt yourself. Okay? Mama loves you, baby, and all you need to know is that I love you so very, very much, and I will always love you, and I will always, 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 always hold you in my heart, no matter what. Oh, I'm going to do another video. But you actually got a gift, a beautiful gift. It's a doctor kit from one of my friends from high school. Sally sent you something. She sent you a few things, actually. And it's just absolutely perfect for you because you do want to be a doctor and you do want to be a career woman right now. And I know you go back and forth with that. But, I know, baby, I love you. That's what I do know, is that I love you. I will always love you, no matter what. No matter what. But this life is always going to be hard, and life isn't fair. Life will never, ever, ever be fair. Don't ever think that life will be fair, because it's not. Life isn't fair. And sometimes there's no choice. There's no good choices. Sometimes there's just no good choices at all. And always remember, if someone can make you look different on paper, no one can change who you are in your heart. Alright? No one can change who you are. And who you are is at your core of who you are. People's patterns don't usually change all that much unless they have a real reason for them to. And, yeah. Mama tried to start you out in the most loving path I could possibly start you out with. I started you out on the continuum concept, which is where I held you continuously for the first 6 months. And you were just in Mama's arms, and you were always fed, and you were always just brilliant and lovely and loving, and just, you know, Mama really tried to set you up for a really, really, really good life. I mean, I put your papa through 7 years of school, and I tried to set him up for a really good life, and Sarah tried to set me up for a really good life because, you know, I just want to be a housewife and homemaker. So I put your papa through college, and sometimes when you invest in somebody, you can't tell on them, and it's just the way that it is. But because you invested, and when that person that you invested so much into is just hurt, sometimes they hurt other people, but they don't always remember. One thing that you'll notice about your papa is that your papa is forgetful, but he loves you, alright? Your papa is very forgetful. He is the most forgetful person I've ever met in my entire life. And Mama loved him because of the reasons why he's forgetful. Okay. Think back all the choices I had, but the choice I do have every single day is to not let this situation break me or break anybody, and to just be loving and kind, and continuously to be loving and kind, and be even more loving and more kind to everyone around me. Mama loves you. I will always love you. Papa always used to say, Mama's his sun, Papa's my moon, and you're a rainbow baby. We love you. We both love you. I will always love you, Karina. Mama will always love you. Alright? I know this pandemic is happening, and the entire world is shut down. Once it opens up, Mama's definitely going to be seeing you, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Mama actually lives on a farm right now. I live on a farm. There's 2 cows here. There's so many hens and roosters and dogs and cats and kids and people, and it's just a lot of fun. You're going to have a lot of fun once you come here. There's trampolines. There's lots of things. There's lots of things here and around town that you're going to be able to do. Books, libraries. I can't wait. I dream about you all the time. So I'll do in my dreams. I love you. I love you so much.